Welcome to another Cup of Joe. I'm your host, Joe Tumalo, here with my friend Andrea Kihlstedt, part two. Welcome back, Andrea.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you. So, capital campaign guru and part two. So, we were just talking about common misperceptions of campaigns, correct?
Yes.
You want to throw some out there?
Sure. So here's the first one. We hear about this all the time. People are in an organization that's about to have a 20th anniversary. They decide their 20th anniversary is a great opportunity to have a campaign, and they want to launch a campaign for $20 million because they've been in existence for 20 years. Well, I understand that roughly, only it's just a misconception, right? The fact that you've been in business for 20 years has nothing to do with raising $20 million. And honestly, very few people really care that you've been in existence for 20 years, except you and the people on the inside. It doesn't motivate donors that you've been in existence for 20 years or 50 years or 100 years. What motivates donors is that you're going to raise money that is going to have an impact on the people you serve, that the money you raise is going to make a big difference in enabling you to do more good in your community, not that you've been in business for 20 years. So don't fall into the trap of doing one of these anniversary campaigns. They're likely to be difficult and probably unsuccessful.
And especially tying the dollar amount to the anniversary without any real data to work with.
Yeah, now by all means, have a special party for your anniversary. I'm not against celebrating anniversaries. Just don't tie a big capital campaign to it.
That's great. So let's say we're in the campaign. We have can you talk about timelines? Are best practices in what time frame we should have this? If it goes too long, sometimes you see longer ones like at big universities, and it's like, does it lose its luster? We talked in the last one about part one about it takes 20 gifts to make or break a campaign, and you most likely are going to get them before you go public anyway. And then what if the last part of the question is, what if we're getting close to the timeline and we're nowhere near there? How do we save face and not look bad in front of our donors?
Yeah, that's a great set of questions, Joe. First of all, let me say that university campaigns are a class of campaigns unto themselves. They're quite different. They function differently. So I hate to cluster them. They're a more complicated organization. They have multiple schools. A university might have a law school and an undergraduate school and a business school and a school of journalism. Each one of those might be having campaigns that then get put into one overarching campaign. So they're just much more complicated and require longer, right? So let's take that class of campaigns and put them aside. Let's look instead at simpler, more campaigns. Let's look at a campaign for a homeless shelter or a community library or an opera house or these are more discrete campaigns. Right now, campaigns like or a humane league or all kinds of organizations that have facilities needs in particular have capital campaigns. Those campaigns generally take about 3 years. Now, some organizations can do it more quickly than that. Sometimes they run longer. But honestly, I hate to see campaigns that run longer than 4 years, right? It's just 5 years. It's starting to get old, starting to be a long time for a campaign not to have been successful. Campaigns are over and above regular fundraising. They have sort of a pattern of wanting to build energy and excitement and enthusiasm, and you want to get to your goal, celebrate, your goal, invite everybody in to be with you in that, and then be done with them. Then put it to bed. It doesn't continue on. So there is a model for that, and it's important that you don't just say, well, we're just going to keep raising this money until we have it. That's not the way campaigns work. They have a specific dollar goal and a timeline. Now, you can change the dollar goal and you can change the timeline, which is characteristic of campaigns. For a lot of the campaign, you're working with what we call a working goal. until you formally announce the campaign, you may have a dollar goal that might go up or it might go down. So let's say,
Down?
yep,
You
let's
can
say,
get that, really?
sure, let's say you start out thinking you can raise $10 million, but the couple people you were looking for those top lead gifts for some reason didn't come through. So before you actually officially announce your campaign goal, you can say, well, I don't think we can see $10 million in our future. So we're going to announce a goal of $7.5 million.
Before you go public.
Before you go public.
Okay.
That's right. Exactly.
Now, how about while you're public?
Now, once
And
you,
obviously,
I mean, ideally, you should announce the goal when you go public that you have a pretty good sense that you can complete. Right. That's the public part of a campaign is a fairly short period of time. And before you announce your goal, you're going to want to look carefully at where the rest of the money is, at what you can pretty much count on. And then you announce your goal that you're about 90% sure you can do. So that should be smooth sailing. Now, occasionally it's not smooth sailing for one reason or another. And what do you do about that? When you're getting to the very end of the campaign, you have $250,000 left to raise to get to your $10 million goal. It is just, you could almost taste success, and yet you're $250,000 short. What do?
you start looking under the couch.
You start looking under the couch. Exactly. Well, there are some standard things you can do. You can go to one of your original donors and ask someone to give you a challenge gift to make it more exciting to actually raise that last little piece of money. You can go back to some of the early donors, because remember, these are 3 years. You will have some people who have given to the campaign. They gave 3 years ago. They've paid off their pledges. You can ask them to extend their pledges by a year. Boom, 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 right? $250,000 in simply by asking people to extend their pledges, right? You can extend the timeline, but you don't want to extend it out very far, right? If you're going to extend it, see if you can get a challenge gift with a specific timeline to highlight that. And then pull out all the stops of going back to everybody who has given to help you get to your goal. People will want to help you get to your goal. So it's a matter not of giving up and sitting back, right? That's not what you should be doing at the end of your campaign. You need to be ramping up every bit of energy you can and gathering every volunteer and every donor together to say, by September 1st, let's see if we can get this baby done, right? And give them all a chance to be part of that celebration, right? And that works. This is a matter of energy more than of money. By the time you've raised $9.5 million, $250,000 or $500,000 is peanuts, right? By comparison.
So cool. Well, you're like, when we're recording this, the Wimbledon tennis championships, and I'm thinking you're like watching a professional tennis player that make it look so easy to have, but you develop these skill sets for so long, for so many years, but you make it sound so simple. But you do. I mean, part of your approach is like me with my business, plan giving. People can get freaked out by it. Oh my God, it's just so much work and complicated. It doesn't have to be. Like you said, it sounds like fun. The way you're describing it sounds like a good time.
Yeah, I mean, I think mostly it is fun. There's nothing like being able to be really successful, right? That's a kick for a whole organization to be really successful, and capital campaigns provide an opportunity to do that.
That's cool. Now, I would not be, as I say with donors sometimes, I would be doing a disservice if I did not bring up a plan giving type of question. Endowment in campaigns.
Yes. So sometimes people come to us and say, we want to do a capital campaign to raise money for our endowment. The reality is that endowments are much better raised through your business, Joe, than through mine. Right? The best way to raise endowments is to have a really robust and steady plan giving program where you really are reaching out to people and inviting them to make plan gifts. You look at any institution with a big endowment, that's the way the bulk of it is raised. Now, we do encourage our campaign clients to have some endowment component in their campaign. Why? because you're going to be talking to your largest donors and you want to be able to use it as an opportunity to say, would you also consider making a planned gift? Would you give it this cash gift or pledge? And would you consider making a planned gift? Because you're going to be talking to them anyway, and some of them are going to be in a position to do that. And it's just a nice opportunity. If you don't have a planned gift, an endowment component in your campaign goals, you can't ask people for long gifts that won't come in for a long period of time.
Right. Great. Beautiful. Well, as Carol Burnett used to say, I'm so glad we've had this time together. You young folks, look it up on YouTube. So how can people get in touch with you? What are you working on these days?
Yes, so Amy Eisenstein and I are working on capitalcampaignpro.com. It's a remarkable way to provide people with support and advising and materials for their capital campaign. We would love to hear from you and to talk to you and to tell you about how we can support you in your capital campaign. Go to capitalcampaignpro.com. You will find many ways to apply for a campaign strategy session. Then you would get to talk to either me or Amy Eisenstein, and we would be happy to explore with you what your campaign plans are.
Wonderful. Thank you for adding value to the CupoJoe program, Andrea.
Joe, thank you so much. I so appreciate your doing this and appreciate your inviting me.
Anytime. Thank you. Shall we click our cups for
Let's click our cups. My Kit Kat cup. Bing.
Thanks so much.
All right. Bye.
I know.